is set up.
So we are here. Obviously, you caught me and Robin. We chopping it up with sometimes it's so good to have a conversation with her. And I forget that she's here to serve other people. So I definitely appreciate you coming in, you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about managing your rental property, what you need to go over. Before, I want to say thank you for everyone who participates in the group, definitely pushing towards that 1,500 member mark. If you have any questions, feel free to utilize the group as a resource. As you know, Robin was on about a week and a half ago. Still have a couple more spots left in the trucking boot camp. How many left? What is it, like 5? Or is it 2?
I think I'm at 6 right now.
Okay, 6, because it was 10 when we did the
yeah.
So
I'm at 6 right now.
The spots are running deep. But yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe onto the YouTube page. Like if you're watching the video on YouTube. And if you have any questions as we're going along, feel free to reach out. So Robin, I definitely appreciate you coming back. No need really to rehash the same introduction, because I would encourage you all to go back to the other video if you want to understand some of what she does. But I told you she has many different facets. And when she talks about serial entrepreneur, that's her. So she runs down all her businesses.
I can give an introduction or breakdown of my real estate route.
Right. So we're talking about the real estate today. So talk a little bit about your real estate experience, how you got into that type of thing.
So real estate, I've been in real estate since I was 18 years old. I started off with rental properties. I started off managing. My mom was trying to sell one of our houses, and I was like, no, let me get this from you. I'll pay you X, Y, and Z. So I had an arrangement with her. So it started that way. And then another opportunity or whatever came by, and I was able to use someone else's money to invest in another property. You got to think too, around that time, 18, that's 2008 market.
Oh, so wow.
You got to think like around that time we were in a depression. We were in a recession, damn near depression. So properties, people was losing their houses and everything. So I was buying properties for like $10,000 and putting like 15 in it at the most. And that's even sometimes with a new roof. So I was able to do that. The last property I bought that for that low for $10,000 was in 2012. It's a property in North St. Louis. But yeah, so how I did real estate up into 2015. I'll just kind of stop right there. So 2008 to 2015, it was more so me just doing residential. I would just have rental properties, rent them out, take the equity out of them. If the tenant wanted to buy the house, I would allow that. And so all of my tenants actually bought the houses that they're in now. So I don't have any single family at all anymore. And I actually want to get away from single family. So if it doesn't have at least 4 doors or more, I don't want it. And that's just where I'm at with it. Just because you can only do, 800 here, 1,000 there every so often. So I want something that's more income producing. And it can be a lot sometimes trying to collect rent from somebody the first of the month. So from there, I never was the one that did the credit checks and all of that. I did ask about evictions because that tells a lot. But I never just did the credit checks because credit can go up and down, high debt income. Like I remember my credit score had dropped down to like a low 600 before. And it was because of debt utilization. It wasn't any late payments, anything in collections. It was strictly like just debt utilization, and life happens. I had to have a major surgery, and my insurance didn't cover it. And so, yeah, it was like I don't own hospital bills and collections. So, well, it covered the surgery, but it didn't cover the procedures unless I got chemo. And I didn't want chemo because I didn't have cancer, but I did have a tumor. So I was like, I'd rather pay $20,000 for treatments on my credit card. So that's why I just said I would rather take people not based on a credit score and based off of like rental history and everything. And plus, sometimes people just need second chances. And those are the people I literally only had problems with 2 tenants. But other than that, I would say don't rent to people that you know. Don't. We always want to help our family and friends out, but it causes conflict. And sometimes people are like, "Oh, well, you're my family. I got you. You're my friend. I got you. Well, friend, I'm going through such and such, such and such. Yeah, but if you're going through such and such, such and such at these apartments, you'll pay them people.
You
I'm paying money. Like, you don't know what people are going through as well too. Just because they don't advertise it, they don't show it. You don't know like how this affects their financial whatever. You don't know what type of liens they have on this house. You don't know what type of extra mortgage they took out on this house for another investment. And that's none of your business. But at the same time, pay people for what they deserve, for what you're using. So stay away from family and friends. It can cause relationship strains. It can cause all type of issues. Stay away from them. Next, in 2015, I got into commercial properties. So I bought a strip mall. And with that, it was like a not planned thing. It wasn't anything that I planned. I kind of just like, I was like, look, whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be. I actually looked to rent. So I'm at my banquet hall now. I was looking to rent my banquet hall, and it came up that what I would be paying for rent, I pay half of that for my whole mortgage for my strip mall. And so my tenants pretty much pay my mortgage. And I just paid the taxes of the building. But the opportunity came, they said the building was for sale. So I was like, oh, now I like commercial. So because I like commercial, I want more commercial, of course. And so I then later on got my real estate license. So now I'm a licensed Missouri only realtor. And I specialize in commercial.
Okay.
I do sell homes, but I specialize in commercial because I love commercial. I love everything about commercial. I love I love helping people buy properties. If you want a lease, I want to help you with that as well too, because there's a lot of logistics behind the lease. Like, for example, when you're in commercial, you have something called triple net. Triple net is when you're covering the building expenses, the insurance of your portion of the building. You still have to have your own insurance, your own business insurance, but you're paying a portion of the landlord's building insurance and taxes. So triple net can be, you can have rent that's $9 a square foot, and then you have triple net that's $5 a square foot. So it's kind of high there. But yeah, so that's, I really like negotiating that for people. I like helping people find new properties as well too.
To rent out.
Yeah, to rent out. I love working with investors, and I love working with people that wants to become commercial owners as well too, especially like strip malls and everything, because those are easier to purchase because you can just prove that it's an income flow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that was going to be my next question. So we all know just basic business knowledge, commercial does make more than residential. Just no matter what you do. So I was going to say, when you thought about this opportunity or when that opportunity came, because truth be told, I remember when you announced that you were doing it, and to this day, I was here in Charlotte, but I know exactly where I was. Like, I'm visualizing in my head right now. In my car, I was like, this kid just took on a freaking strip mall. And I knew where you bought it. I'm like, dude, I used to hang out there. Now I know the people who own it. But suffice to say, it was one of those things of everything always sounds so unattainable or out of reach. And you can go into as much detail as you like, but what would you say? You just said it's easier to get a commercial than it is residential. What would you say are the things that you should prepare for that type of deal?
So the reason why I say it's easier to get commercial strip mall, not just a building, because then it's an income producing property. You have to do your research and see like what's the the average rent and everything. If you just wanted a standalone building, sometimes they can be a lot harder if you're not an already existing business. But if you're already existing, then you just show, hey, I'm expanding. This is how, this is how much, if I expand, this is how much I can bring in with this size building. So that's where you stand there.
So you're saying because your business background, it was a little bit easier. So if it was somebody who this is their first thing, they don't have like an established business. Maybe
no, actually, now that's different. On paper, I was not qualified. Honestly, I'm just gonna be honest. Like when I tell y'all, I believe in God, so I'm not going to offend anybody, but I believe in God. When I say that God favored me through this whole process. And I didn't have a realtor. I was my own realtor. That's what made me want to get into commercial because I was my own realtor. But when I say God favored me, on paper, I was not qualified. But it just all started working out. Like, I can't even go into like how it just worked out. I had to put $60,000 down. So, okay, so let's talk about that too. So anytime you're owning a commercial building, you have to put 10% down if you're going to own at least 51% or more. Commercial.
Residential is about 25.
Residential, if you want investment properties like multifamilies, you have to put 20% minimum.
Yeah, 20%.
Minimum. And that's just depending on the loan that you get. But yeah, it's the LTV has been between, like you said, with that loan of value, it has been more so. I see a lot of people, the minimum I'm seeing is 20%. And that's it may be 25%. It just depends on who your lender is and what they're offering. So yeah, there's no way around it unless you're living in a property, and you got to be really careful with that because they're cracking down on that too. So you can't say I'm living somewhere.
And just to hop in as somebody who does lending, all the rules are geared to clear out the ambiguity of somebody basically being able to get a rental property at a primary rate. And the biggest difference is the primary rate can oftentimes be 1%, 1.5% to even a couple percent higher as an investment property, and you're paying for that versus if you did it as a secondary home or if you did it as a primary, you lived in it. So it's really all these rules of rates and documentation. Even if in your head you were buying a 2-family flat or whatever, you need to understand that. Be careful about what you relinquish and how you do the transaction, because once they get an indication that this is going to be a rental property, and you knew that from the jump, the whole deal is going to investment property. The underwriter, they're going to stipulate all that type of stuff. So be careful about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Be careful how you deal with everything. Oh goodness, I would drop my pen, and I'm 8 months pregnant. But anywho, so yeah, that's a key. Be careful. The next thing is so we were talking about this. So the SBA loan is the best way to go to me to start off with commercial property. If you're occupying at least 51%. So people that get strip malls, I tell them to at least have your own business in there where you can occupy at least 51%, and then have other tenants as well. And then later on, like a year or two after that, then go ahead and switch it over, because with SBA, you don't want to be an SBA loan. You want to refinance because those rates do fluctuate. So you don't want to be in there long. You want to refinance. And another thing too, what I help people do, especially when I do SBA, I help them. So if you, for example, like I said, I'll be very transparent. My down payment was $60,000 for my strip mall. Even with that, I requested money back for working capital, and it was all on research. And so that's why I said I became a commercial realtor, because I'm like, I didn't have anybody teaching me this stuff. Like, this was literally late nights. At the time, I was pregnant again. So maybe I do my best work when I'm pregnant. I don't know. But I was pregnant again, and I literally delivered. when I was in the delivery room, I was in labor with my son for 61 hours. When I was in the delivery room, that's when I needed to do something to take my mind off of it. And that's when we settled our offering price. Like we settled on the contract. We went into contract that weekend. But it was more so of trying to late night YouTube, trying to figure out how can I get money back? How can I eliminate like how much I'm actually coming out of pocket for things? How can I credit my loan or different things? Do I want credits to loans? Because like, for example, with a house that you own, it could be, okay, I'm going to keep this in escrow and I'm going to pay your taxes at the end of every year. It doesn't work like that with commercial. If they say we paying the taxes for, say if you're in November closing and your taxes are $30,000, and they say, okay, well, we'll pay the taxes for the year. Well, they have to technically. So they are paying 10 months because you're in November. So they're paying 10 months of taxes. They're crediting it to your loan. A $500,000 to $600,000 loan, that don't mean nothing to you. That's pennies on the dollar. And guess what? At the end of the month, at the end of the year, especially in the state of Missouri, you will have to still pay those property taxes. So that's not what you want. You want to be like, no, I want you to take it out of this money and I want this to be put in a separate escrow. I don't want it to be credited to my loan. Like you have to really advocate for yourself because that almost messed me up. But yeah, it was just like a lot of late night YouTubes and trying to figure out the process. Getting building inspections. That's the main thing because people will sell stuff and they'll patch stuff up. But it's worth that investment of having a plumber come out, having a licensed plumber come out, having a licensed roofer to come out, getting your survey done, making sure that your property, understanding your property lines, getting an environmental report done, making sure that you don't have any type of hazardous things going on, or if you wanted to have certain things that you want to know what you can and cannot have on your property, talking to whatever municipality. So, St. Louis is St. Louis County, but then there's different municipalities in St. Louis. So technically I'm in Bridgeton, Missouri, and it's a matter of having all of that, talking to Bridgeton, what is allowed, what's not allowed. If you know that you're going to have other tenants, if I knew that I was having a hookah bar or something, I will be going down there. If I knew that my next tenant would be a hookah bar, I'll be going down to Bridgeton on my own as a landlord and asking, well, what are the stipulations for these type of businesses? What businesses that you absolutely do not allow and why? Because they don't. Like, I remember last week I wanted to open up my banquet hall to the homeless people just so they can have somewhere to stay.
Right.
Because temperatures here were negative 16 degrees.
Absolutely.
They told me they would shut me down. Like not a warning, not a fine. They would shut me down for housing homeless people for just 2 nights. Just until the temperatures got above zero. So you need to know the do's and the don'ts and everything that you can do. A lot of people like to buy and rent clubs. The clubs is the thing. You need to understand like what areas would be. St. Louis City, surprisingly, is one of the hardest places to get a liquor license. St. Louis County is a lot easier. So it's just different things of like knowing your research and knowing your area to see if that area is even better for you. I mean, good for you. And then with any business that people start, I always tell them, if you find the need, you'll succeed. If you find the area of need, you most definitely will succeed. So what is that area need? Like at the time, there were no real banquet halls over here. Now it's like 3 or 4 of them, but there were no real banquet halls over here. So I knew that I would have a business that is profitable. And then shop your competition as well too in the area, so you can know like, is this an area that I even need to be in? Do a area analysis. See, there's a lot of ways that you can see like what's the average income of people in the area. Like, is this an area that you can see profit in? Because sometimes you have to depend on the area. Sometimes people don't want to drive certain places. It just depends on what it is that your business is.
That's it's actually very interesting. And so you had ran through, which I definitely appreciate, all the things you need for a commercial. What would you say if somebody is pursuing just their first single family? What are the things that you need to check out? I know the plumber, I know the inspection. That's going to
single family. You want to make sure. Single family is just like if you was buying your own house. You want to do all those same inspections. The main thing that I see go wrong with single families is sewer lateral issues. It's the sewer lateral collapse, or it's clay in a piece of clay in there. Those are the things that you really want to make sure of. Your sewer lateral, you want to make sure all of your technical things are taken care of. The plumbing is up to date. Your HVAC is up to date. Your electric is up to date. But those are the main things too. And then what type of tenants do you want? That's another thing you have to ask yourself. So if you want, or are you willing to do government assisted housing, Section 8 or anything like that? Okay, what does Section 8 require for this house? What is the I'm helping an investor right now from out of town. He just bought a property. He's trying to see how much should he do his rent for. Now you have to go on to like a place like Zillow or First Key or something and shop the area to see what the rent is. So you can make sure that you're not overpriced or anything. And then you want to make sure that you're getting a return on your investment. So you want to see like what are all the taxes, what are the yearly taxes, what is the yearly insurance like on this area. And then from there you take your rent and just like deduct your expenses. Like, okay, this is how much I will make from this rental property every month.
So what would you say? And I like St. Louis as an example. Number one, being there, but understanding the property values. And sometimes, oh man, I can get a good deal. I can pay 60 grand. I can pay 100 grand. I can pay 150, and you can get a decent property, but you can only charge maybe 800, 1,000 in rent. And like you said, if you have a loan on it, the loan's not that much. But when you start adding in the taxes and insurance, that cuts your margin away. So what would you say is the ideal profit spot that you want to be with these with any property, but especially something that's a little bit lower in cost?
So if a $10,000 property and you probably put another 10 in, expect at least a $600 profit every month. If you're not at 600, then just ask yourself how long that's going to even take to get to somewhat a return on your investment. Another thing too that I suggest with rental properties that I did was make sure that you have a home warranty on those properties. So that way you're not coming out of a lot of money if something goes wrong. Like if you have a plumbing problem, electric problem, or any problems with the appliances, you're not coming out of that money. Get your home warranty. I suggest that for people that own a home. Right. So,
and what's those typically, or what have you seen them run for the home warranty?
My last person that just closed on that property paid $600 for the year.
For the year? Oh wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And you can divide it up into monthly payments, but they pay $600 for the year. And when they come out, they got to pay a $75 deductible for anything. So I would rather pay that than $1,500 for a new water heater.
Something just came up, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember even in my own home, when I bought I had the same issue, and then they replaced my refrigerator, they replaced my washer, so it's different benefits of it.
Cool. So, going back, so you or transition. So you're in commercial. You made that transition forward, or as you think, because you probably manage the same. Tennis business people are probably a little bit different than personal.
Business people can be even. Oh my God.
What would you say is the thing that you or what processes should you have in place throughout the month to make sure you're staying on track or being able to recognize certain things and manage it effectively, meaning
so
check-ins, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. So with business wise, let's talk about residential first. On the residential side, you want to actually visit your properties. A lot of us don't do that. You want to
actually 30 days, every 60 days, 90 days, like once a quarter or something.
I say whenever. Okay, so if somebody say they're having issues, then more than likely that's already your time to visit. The person that don't say they have issues is the person you want to visit. And not saying that because they probably not having issues. They probably really not.
They could be doing something.
But it's probably something that they doing over there. Because most of the time people gonna call you for just any little thing. They be like, oh, the door handle broke. Like it be the stupidest things. But I like people like that. But the people that don't call about nothing, you like, okay, well that's when I be like, oh, the exterminator's coming, because I'll get my property sprayed every 3 months. The exterminator's coming and I'll be over there to let them in.
Right.
Like that's the type of thing, those are things that you want to do. So at least once every 3 months, you just go and kind of pop in. I say drive by your properties all the time if you can. I understand, like I have a lot of out of town investors as well too that I deal with. and I have a huge Arabian clientele. So sometimes I just like do they drive-bys for them. So um yeah, I would say most definitely drive by, and then just make sure that the upkeep of your property from the outside is well, because that's a lot of times people don't even think about that. Like, make sure your greenery look make sure the house looks like something on the outside. Gutters not hanging, drive by the windows, the blinds not missing, like things like that. Just make sure that the upkeep of the property look good, and then go in as well once every 3 months. Like I said, I do a lot of preventative stuff like exterminator. That's one thing you gotta. I make sure because people are people.
Yeah, everybody's not clean. So when you think about it, as often as you say, I would even look at it from if you've ever rented an apartment, how often did they come in? You know what I mean? Just whether something was going on or whether it wasn't going on before you had an issue. I know for mine, it was when I was in St. Louis downtown, it was bare minimal once a quarter, and sometimes it was just just to check things off, like, hey, we're doing our regular inspection, make sure X. But keep in mind, this is a business, and the risk is you don't want to, again, like Robert said, get that late night call or drive by there. You ain't heard from somebody in 6 months until they've built that rapport with you where you can probably extend out the time a little bit where you have a good feel for the person. But I would still do it because it does two things. Number one, it helps you be proactive. But then number two, if they know that you're bound to come, they'll either let you know if there's a problem or they'll not do whatever they're thinking about doing.
Right.
Because it creates a level of accountability. When somebody knows you're going to check in and you can put them out and they know they breaking the rules, they're gonna, so they're less likely to do something wrong because they know you're going to check in. And if you're telling them like, oh, maybe a day ahead of time, because I think that's how apartments used to do. They used to slip that thing under my door a day before, and it was never the same day. That is something that keeps a person on their toes of, hey, I need to make sure my stuff is on point. But when they come through, otherwise we can terminate this lease. And you need to write that language in your lease.
I was just about to say that needs to be in there. That language needs to be in your lease because it's not in a lot of standard lease. As the landlord, I have the right to inspect a property at will. So that means that you don't really have to give them a notice.
Right.
But I have the at will, and then it can be if there is any substantial damages or anything or whatever that's not, you create your own verbiage for that. But any damages, any uninhabitable living spaces, if it's a roach oh God, if people got roaches and stuff, a whole bunch of mice going on, like you have the right to evict a person, and you need to put that like in your clause. Because I've dealt with that before too, and getting roaches out of the house. Who child? I was like, I didn't. As soon as I got out that house, I said, just at this point, I got naked on the back porch and was like, "Where's my child?" and I just wanted to throw away the clothes, whatever I had. And the next time we went over there, it was so funny. Next time we went over there, I actually went to Family Dollar, put on something, and threw it away as soon as I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna put this in the back porch." Throw it away as soon as I got out of it. Like, it was disgusting.
So if you have the warranty, in either case, because you get a warranty for commercial and residential, but if you have the warranty, do you still need like your own, I guess, handyman, contractor, plumber? Mm-hmm. Like what is typically the warranty? Warranty is more for appliances type thing?
For like just in case somebody put a hole in the wall or something, or just anything like that. It can be little stuff that they need, the rail fail, the gutter. Yeah, like you just have your handyman.
So you need a handyman.
You really don't have a lot of commercial like insurance, like how it has homeowners insurance for commercial. It's not the same. You don't really want to do that. So with that, you need a handyman. A commercial, and that's the thing too, with commercial, it's not like residential where your landlord takes care of a lot of things. You're responsible for a lot of things that breaks down. My thing is typically if like the plumbing, if it's not affecting everybody and it's only affecting you fixing your own stuff. Your heat, if you don't do your maintenance and everything, now if the whole unit just go out, that's a different thing. But if you're not doing your maintenance and everything, that's on you. Like if your heat stop working, if the blower stop because you don't want to have the stuff on, or the motherboard go out because of things that you done, you keep playing with the heat. That's on you. Like you have to fix those things. Um, Anything structural, I'll take care of. But most of your stuff that's inside and only affects your unit, you're responsible for. If you have a electrical outage, you're responsible for things like that. In commercial, you're responsible for all of your remodeling. You can ask for rent abatement, which means that while I'm getting this repaired, can I either pay rent at no cost or a discounted rate? But yeah, a lot of that stuff is on you.
So what do you do, business or commercial or residential? What do you do when you have to make the decision to evict? What is?
So first, it's all about trying to talk to the people as much as possible. Um, See what you can do to work with people, and then just let them know, like, I hate to get to this point, but if we get to this point, then first of all, you need a business lawyer on point. But if you have to, you just got to do what you got to do. Don't let a person get too far behind. Like you don't want 3 months of rent before. I always saying, so with residential, I send a pay or quit notice, and also make sure that's in your lease. I send a pay or quit notice after 15 days of late rent. Either you pay or quit, if not, the eviction process is going to start.
And then what? So obviously, people might have to start over, or this might be their second chance. So credit, things of that nature. Maybe you don't look at their credit. Do you require some sort of deposit? Do you have some sort of late fee?
Yep.
What is acceptable?
So my deposits, since I always do 2 months worth of the rent up front, and then you still got to pay your first month of rent. So it's the higher risk. I mean, it's the higher deposit, but then I also take a higher risk that you may not be a good tenant as well too. So, and then going through the eviction process, that's a lot right there. That's a very costly thing. So that's one thing right there. And then the other thing you said, if there's the eviction. So what did you say?
No, I was saying that. So do you require a deposit?
Oh yeah.
Do they get it back? And then
yeah. So
that type of thing.
Everything back.
Like, do you charge an application fee? Like what? Because
late payments. So late payments. So you have the 1st to the 5th to pay rent. Late payments for both start at $50. After the 5th, it's $50 a day. I mean, it's $50 per late fee. $50 initial, and then $10 a day for residential. It's $50 a day for commercial, and then it's $50 for the first up to the first 7 days, and then it's $75 after that, and then it increases to $100. Yeah.
Well, you can kind of get, that's a whole bunch, but you can get to the 50 to 20, and then you can pay another bunch of rent. So
on time, player, or so communicate. You know, I've had late rent with commercial several times because business goes up and down, but communicate.
Yeah.
So
what would you say is the piece with the residential you have? You know, went through as far as the deposit. Do you earn it back, or do they ever get that back, or is it just?
Yeah, deposits they'll get it back. Most of the time, what I would do if it's towards the last month, I won't even take their last month payment because then you still got that other half of the deposit.
Right.
So I won't take the last month payment, but then I would just give them the rest back 30 days after inspections and everything are done, and I just deduct whatever needs to be fixed.
So what do you think about getting your rental property? Like I said, you got to number one know the terms, commercial or residential. Typically commercial is 10% down, residential 20 to 25% down. You typically want to look at
commercial could be 10 or 20%. So if you're not occupying it, it's just like residential and investor. If you're not occupying it, then you have to go a different route. You can't do SBA. So you have to go a different route, and you have to put 20% down.
And what would you say is?
Sorry.
No problem. So as you start to come in, you had mentioned, hey, what you did to kind of grow your fleet was you actually you pull cash out the house for the home, and then that's how you expanded your actual portfolio at the time.
Yeah, so you can keep refinancing, but just be careful with it. Um, because it's more debt still. But yeah, I refinance to just take the equity out. That's it.
And
So
then
like,
you used the whole equity to buy a full property, or was it just the down payment? You just took enough for the down payment.
I did it to buy a full property at the time.
Okay, full property. Okay, so you had some paid for it, and some there was some debt. No, sounds good. Yeah, guys. When you think about these investment opportunities, it's really understanding the details, but all of it comes down to making sure you have the correct protections in place. So, as Robin said, you got to have your lease really tight, and one way to do that is your business lawyer, because that's going to help cover you should you what you're trying to guard and safeguard yourself against is the risk of default, the risk of the person might mess up the property, making sure your insurance coverages are
and make sure that you require them to have rental certificates.
Right. Because that protects you and them. So it's really important that you understand. And then also, what do you need? Well, you do a warranty could be a good viable expense for you to get through the management of a property through the year. But you're still going to need a handyman. And as Robin mentioned, a lot of plumbing is definitely going to be a big piece, especially when you think about if you're in Missouri, the type of winters y'all have. It's going to be necessary. Here in North Carolina, HVAC and what do you call it? Rodent inspections. Those are really big key because of the area. So you have to consider a lot of things. But then above that, I think she skipped over. She didn't skip over, but she mentioned. But I just want to bring back to the forefront. If you're going to do commercial, or even residential too, but definitely commercial, you want to talk to that municipality and know what you want to do. You don't want to have this idea and have this plan and have everything thought out, and you done went and bought the thing, only to come to find out as soon as you open day one, you close day one. So it's
or can't even open.
Yeah, you can't even open. So it's one of those things, or it's a lot more red tape. So that zoning, all that type of stuff is going to be important for you to go. As Robin said, she's a realtor. She well, I'm not even going to mention all the hats. She does a lot, but even with this one, she still can help you as far as getting your neck. She works with investors. She does commercial, getting that rental property. And somebody who done the process is better for them to help you. And if you're in St. Louis, better for your experience because they know the market probably a little bit closer than you have because they've been in it. What else? Did I skip something? Is there something I missed, Robin, throughout all? Yeah. But yeah, we definitely appreciate Robin. As you can see, she still has her phone ringing off the hook, so we're not going to take up too much of her time. But definitely, I'll repost her information if she, because the realtor thing, that's more consultation type thing too, or is there like a class?
Yeah, because I need to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. Make sure that you're even ready at the time. So
yeah, so definitely we can drop her info. It's probably similar to the trucking
it's
info.
The same.
Yeah,
Robin at infiniteocc.com is for all my business stuff.
Yeah, so that way you can, if you have trucking questions, if you have real estate questions, if you're just trying to figure out, hey, is it a right time for me to it's good to have somebody to tell you, hey, you might want to wait or do this, and this, and then come do it. So real estate isn't going anywhere, guys. I understand it's a hot market right now. It's a great opportunity.
A lot of people paying over asking price for stuff.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a ridiculous opportunity, much like similar to 2008. But keep in mind, this is a great opportunity that typically happens about every 10 to 12 years. So if you miss this one, it's okay. It'll happen again. But it just gives you that mindset that, hey, I need to prepare for this. All the people who are buying properties and stuff like that, well, they didn't get to buy properties maybe the last time, so they want to make sure they were prepared. If that's something, I know a lot of you guys talk about a group that you want to get into real estate. Well, there's a preparation aspect to these things, and you need to know when it's the right time for you to dive in, and not, I'm gonna just buy a house and I'm gonna get a tenant and now I'm gonna get $2,000 and I don't have to do too much else. Well, no, it's a little bit more than that. You need to circulate. You need to make sure your documentation is ordered, because there are a lot of people who will tell you about the great tenant stories. The fact is, a lot of them, they won't always tell you about the ones that were nightmares and how hard it can be to get out. So the better you can prepare yourself on the front end will be better. If you haven't already, again, please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it. And definitely I'll see you guys in a week where we'll be talking Bitcoin, the hottest thing on the market right now. So can't wait to see you again. And Robert, I'll talk to you again soon.
Alrighty.